Hello, welcome to holiday edition of AsyncAPI public meeting. There are not many people here. It's at such early hour. We have only one topic on the agenda. Oh, Barbania is joining. Just as usual, please be reminded that this call is being recorded and it's going to be published to YouTube. And the item on the agenda that we have, my mic is way too big, it covers my second screen. Yeah, so the topic is proposed by Jonas, and it's a discussion about the next steps for extensions catalog. So, Jonas, would you like to say something?
Sure. So I was trying to look at which kind of tools that were not in a stable version at the moment, to try and see which kind of effort we would need to put in to get to a version 1 for those tools. And while looking at the extension catalog, there's absolutely no information about what it is in terms of what is expected from the implementation itself, which is actually the question. What is it supposed to do? We have one issue that's from Fran, this one. And I don't know if you can tell, but it doesn't say much.
I think it's missing description, for sure.
Some would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was more the thought, like what is the thoughts behind the extension catalog and what's expected from the implementation side?
So there's nothing defined. That's why there's no description, because it's all open. I remember that for the ideas for GSOC, one of the ideas I proposed was actually implementation of the extension catalog. And we actually had one proposal from one of students, but yeah, it didn't go through because of the limits of the seats we had. So yeah, we definitely have to define, like, the idea is basically to have a UI where you can browse through the available extensions. But to have this UI and this list of extensions, you need to have a process behind it. So how they're handled, how they're proposed, who's maintaining them. And then another stuff is to, actually, like, to promote extensions and assure community that it makes sense to collaborate together on extensions, is to make sure that we support them in the parser. So there's an extension, for example, x-Twitter, x-Twitter, where you can provide the Twitter handle for your company behind the API. But now it's just an extension, a file defined somewhere in the repo. Would be cool if we have out of the box support in the parser, for example. Just so the parser and the UI can get them. Yeah. And there's the, but I never remember the name of the project. Mike, can you help me out? So there's a specific format of the extension definition that we follow at the moment in the extension catalog. And the name of this format is
Samosa.
Samosa.
I'll put the link in the chat.
Yeah. So the good thing is that there's already a standard how to describe those extensions, how to point, like how the extension looks like, what's the JSON schema, where it's located in the document. It's all part of this of the standard. So that's already in place. But yeah, the most tricky part is how to support it in the parser, and then where to display it in the UI. I'm always in favor of doing it in the AsyncAPI.com, of course, to have it as part of the same UI. So that's it. If it comes from my side, like briefly, without preparation, what's behind it, but probably others would like to add something. No, like, did I cover everything really? No questions?
I would just like to add something which is related to the extension catalog. And I think more importantly than the UI for now is the API that we have, a REST API, right? So we can actually make other tools interact with the catalog. Another way to see it is, instead of a catalog, you can call it a registry. The same way you have npm registry, for instance. So then we can fetch them on the parser and on other tools, and yeah, and we can provide some, for instance, additional validation of the extensions if the user wants, of course. And of course, then there will be a UI so people can consume them, right? But yeah, consume them and actually search for them and post new ones. But yeah, that will require like a whole new thing, I would say, like a whole new service, if you want, like software as a service, right? Something that will have to be somewhere, deployed somewhere, so people can access it, right? So yeah, don't know exactly if this is what we will want to do.
Is
an
that
initiative?
Is that because you'd want people to be able to host their own registries internally?
I mean, I want people to do it if they want to,
Yeah.
but for the sake of simplicity, it would be great to have it already hosted somewhere, and you can just use it. You can use a default registry if you want, or the public registry or something like this. But that requires a level of, service level agreement, and you have to guarantee that there will be it's going to be up all the time, let's say, or most of the time, right? So you don't want this to be failing every every day, right? Or almost every day. And then that requires someone to be, or even a team of people to be looking after it, right? So yeah, not sure if we should go that way, but I mean, that's an option.
But it's like the perfect world in the future, right? But before that, we can make it as simple as, for example, schemastore.org, right? They just host static files and then expose also a separate JSON with all those files as a reference. As simple as that. You don't need any sophisticated services for that.
Even simpler, we can just store them in GitHub and that's it.
Yeah, so, exactly.
And have some kind of static site generator on top of that, I think.
Yeah. We don't even it can be integrated on the UI side with AsyncAPI.com. So there can be just we have a GitHub action, whatever, that is picking up all the files, putting them in one JSON as say JSON API. And then while building website, we just consume this JSON and generate UI.
Yeah, that's a good alternative. Yeah. So we don't have to maintain anything. Netlify will do it for us.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, to summarize, we need to first expose it, put it in the UI, put it in parallel, there needs to be work on the parser, how to support it. Like, because I like with bindings, I don't think anyone would like parser to each time fetch some schema from some API to validate the input. We would need to come up with some solution to integrate the extension schemas with the existing AsyncAPI schema, maybe.
And
The
there
builds.
we can just default to what other tools are doing, like npm or Maven, that they have, like, they store like a cache in your system. Whenever you download it first, it's cached in your, I don't know, in your personal directory dot AsyncAPI registry or something like that, and it's there, and we just go and look if it's there. If it's not there, we just fetch it and store it there, right? So that will be an option, and because it's versioned, we can always guarantee that if the version exists there, it means that it's the, I mean, there cannot be another same with the same version and different content, right? So yeah, it will be easy, right? You can just default to that. That means that you have access to the file system, of course, and that's not the case in the browser. But in the browser, we have this thing that I forgot, local storage. So yeah, could be an option. So you don't keep fetching while the website, while the page is open, right?
Yeah, we're trying to get in contact with Ted Epstein, who originally came up with the Samosa proposal, to see if he's interested in sort of developing it further, making it more suitable for use with AsyncAPI as well as OpenAPI, which is the original focus. And maybe moving it into some other organization, and so we can all collaborate on it and get it to a point where, you know, we think it's a useful machine readable format for describing extensions. So
Did you get some answers so far, maybe?
No, Ted's a little bit hard to get hold of at the moment. I've tried on Twitter and he has responded on GitHub, but obviously GitHub doesn't have private messages. So if anybody else has got contact details for Ted, that'd be awesome.
I mean, GitHub has this functionality to stalk someone. Like, I mean, not stalk. It's a negative word.
Follow
like,
someone?
No, to find out someone's email.
Oh, yeah. I suppose I could trawl through the commits and things. But
yeah, exactly. So there's an API where you just put the ID. So this could be a way to find out the email and try to contact.
Beware that if the user has marked this checkbox of hiding the email, you will not see it. You will not get it.
Yeah, of course.
But that's not usually the case. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'll let you know if we get any sort of forward movement on that. But
like, because I didn't look in details into Samosa and the existing structure, like, is it missing something? Except of making sure that it's maintained further, do you think that there's already something that we would have to like add? Or
I think there was a couple of issues. This is going back several years. I don't remember the details, but it's a little bit specific because it's got ways to attach schema for OpenAPI 2 and OpenAPI 3. In case your extension has a different format in those two locations. Obviously, that doesn't really work. It's not really scalable, I don't think. And I don't know how many extensions really differ in their schema in the real world, depending on which version of a document they apply to. So I don't know whether that would be an issue with AsyncAPI 2.0, 2.1, whether we're expecting the schema of an extension to change. But maybe it would be easier to slim it down initially and and get something out there that that works as a sort of MVP, and then see whether we need to extend the format in the future.
So Mike, I'm looking at the definition now, and I can't seem to find. I can seem to find something that we have on the definition that we drafted, which is hooks. Sorry, hooks. And this is where, I mean, this is to define where in the document you can actually use the extension. So it's to restrict where you can use the extension. So for instance, Twitter can, the Twitter extension, right? This can only be used inside the info object, not in any, it's not meant to be used in any other place.
There's a property called object types, which is currently defined as a set of object types from.
Oh, I see. So it's
specific
per spec
specification. Yeah. So I'm not sure how flexible or extendable, that mechanism is. Maybe some kind of pointer or array of pointers is a better machine readable.
Yeah, we were using this. Can't remember the name again. It's like, it's not the JSON pointer, it's the other one. JSON path, maybe?
JSON path or James path or
James path. Yeah, James path.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was using James path for that. But yeah, anything works here actually. But yeah, and if we want to make it like generic enough for OpenAPI and AsyncAPI, then yeah, I guess that this thing of OS 2, OS 3, then AsyncAPI 2, AsyncAPI 2.1 maybe, because with 2.1 or 2.3 or whatever, we may add a new object type.
Yeah, exactly.
And so are you gonna list all the possibilities there? I don't think so, right? So maybe we have to come up with a new mechanism there. But I agree that I think, I mean, let's just talk to Tev and see if he wants to move this forward. Maybe donate it to another organization or to AsyncAPI. I'll be happy to take it and develop it forward.
Yeah.
And yeah, so just so we don't reinvent the wheel again, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What draft of JSON schema do you think we would need to support to to describe extensions?
Damn question. I don't know. Actually, I think like draft 7 and above should be maybe just one. I mean, we don't need to support everything, right? Just one version of the schema, because it's not for the so I would say this is not to define complex structures usually, right? So
yeah,
I mean, extensions are usually just the key value pairs.
Usually, yeah, you don't have
you don't have so
one
much
ofs and all
logic
ofs
there.
and if and else's and things.
Yeah, so yeah, they're usually simple objects, right?
Yeah.
Or I hope so. They are. So,
well, if we're talking about parsing them and maybe rendering them in a GUI or something like that, you want to be able to map those objects to an in-memory part of your parser or a visual component. So yeah, you don't want to be dealing with things that are massively complex with conditionals, really. So maybe some guidelines on how to write extensions might be useful as well.
we can create a superset of a subset.
Because that won't cause anybody any problems.
That works well.
Yeah.
No, but a subset maybe. I mean, not kidding here. Like, for instance, maybe we can just ban certain things like pattern properties and, additional properties, or I mean, additional properties now, but yeah, or additional properties have to always be false, something like this, to make it simpler, right? You cannot use one off, any off, not, all off, all sort of thing, if, then, blah, 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 right? All these things, all these mechanisms, probably we can just say like, hey, no, wait, just simple, just a schema object, come on, right? So I don't know, but I don't know how of a good idea is this. Maybe we should try first to create a bunch of extensions for real world use cases and then see if we will need these things or not in any of them. That might be a good idea. So trying to find out the requirements based on real use case.
Yeah, I think a little survey of what extensions people are actually finding the need for could be very useful to get those use cases. Obviously, with OpenAPI, we've got a lot more sort of public definitions to trawl through to sort of find common extensions and common use cases like gateway extensions and things like that. With AsyncAPI, I think obviously people are a little bit behind the firewall slightly. So.
Definitely.
So Jonas, your question, is it answered?
Yeah, I think we are at version 4 or something at the moment, but whatever we discussed, but yes. I just got to figure out what version 1 is. But yeah, I think I wrote down some things and I'm gonna change the issue that you created, Fran, with a description, adding one.
Yeah, exactly. Not change description, add description.
Add description.
You can even remove my issue. So this was just me playing with extensions or nothing really. I don't even remember what I said, what I did there. To be honest, like I was just throwing out ideas.
You didn't do anything. It was just a title and then.
No, I think that the issue is just an epic from last year when we were planning what has to be done.
Okay, no, I meant. I think there's one. Extensions catalog. I think there's one issue, maybe. Yeah, there's one issue that is called proposal for extensions and protocol info objects. This protocol info was the first name of bindings, by the way, just so you know. So there's one proposal here, but yeah, we have Simosa as a Simoasa. How do you pronounce this? Simosa?
I pronounce it samosa. I think that's supposed to be a reference to the.
I was reading it like in Spanish, Simoasa.
Yeah.
Simoasa.
Obviously, it doesn't mean anything rude in Spanish.
No.
That's all right then.
It's a funny word, actually. I find it funny. So yeah. There's an extension. I mean, there's a proposal there in case it helps, but yeah. Maybe we can just check if Samosa has this functionality as well. And then compare, or maybe we can merge the two and do some kind of mix. Right? I don't know. That would be perfect, of course. Or not, maybe Samosa has everything included, so you can just ditch this proposal and forget about it.
Yeah.
I think it's Monday here.
What?
I think it's Monday here.
But yeah, I'll try to reorganize the issues and see if I can define a path to version 1. think that answered the question more or less.
That's good. I'm happy for you.
I am also interested on that. So because for the gateway, I was thinking on building some extension for. At the beginning, I thought of building something more generic for gateways. So I will really like to be aware of how you define this, Jonas. So
Yeah,
and
sure.
help you. So please bring me.
I'll probably take the first chunk of it and then post it in rolling our general and then get the feedback as soon
Cool.
as something solid is defined.
Nice.
Okay, then any other questions, topics?
Okay, since nobody jumps in, I'm gonna do it myself. I was trying to be polite and leave space to others. So yeah, it's meant to be kind of a semi-secret, but I'm working on a framework, on an AsyncAPI framework. You know, like framework, not as in the generator, but on a runtime framework. So it's a framework that you use in production, right? And it's, of course, it's design first or spec first. So yeah, I don't want to go too much into details on how the framework looks like, but I wanted to ask you if some of you may be interested in testing the framework or helping me test the framework with real world use cases, if possible, right? I have something that can be used already, might not be production ready yet. Well, might not, it's not production ready yet, but that's why I'm asking for your help here. So if you have some use cases that you would like to test, please let me know, because in short, the way it works is it's a framework where the only thing that you have to do is write an AsyncAPI file, or yeah, write an AsyncAPI file and your business logic. You have to do nothing else. The rest is handled by the framework. So the way it connects to a broker, or it creates an API for WebSocket server or HTTP server or anything, it's taken from the AsyncAPI file. So all the details are coming from there. And of course, things like secrets and all this stuff, you have to provide them, of course. but the rest is just AsyncAPI file, your business logic, and that's it. So my idea is to make this framework for the, I don't know, just saying a random number, but for the 90% of the people. So, and the use cases. So this is not a framework meant to be for very specific use cases that, you know, it's not behaving well in this particular use case. I don't care. I'm just, it's like, this is for the majority of people. If you have a very specific use case, don't use it. So, so yeah, and I want this to be I want this to be done for the purpose of the people to create an API in less than, I don't know, let's say in less than 15 minutes. This will have something working, and probably in about an hour, they should have something production ready, right? So yeah. And I'm saying about an hour because you have to write your business logic, and of course that depends on how big your business logic is, right? If it's just reacting to an event and storing something in a database, then probably in half an hour you can have it done. but if it's something more complex, might take you more time, but that's because of your business logic. And that doesn't mean that you spend time bootstrapping the code for reconnecting to a broker, connecting to a broker, retries, doing, guaranteeing message delivery, exactly one semantics, things like this, back pressure, for instance. All these things are handled by the framework, and so you don't have to worry about it, of course. And again, all done by just AsyncAPI file plus plus some business logic. So yeah, if any of you is willing to lend a hand testing the framework, just please let me know. I'll be happy to share more details. You don't have to answer here, by the way. You can ping me on Slack or on Twitter if you're watching this afterwards or something like that. Framework. Shiny framework.
Okay, thank you, Fran. Any other topics? Questions?
The proposed async API diff tool, how generic is the kind of configuration likely to be for that? Is it going to be tied to the async API parser, or do we know yet?
Thinking. Yeah, I think it's tied to AsyncAPI parser.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because it's much easier than to
Yeah.
read documents.
I just wonder whether we could maybe borrow the configuration file format, if not the code, to create other diff tools that use the same, sort of configuration logic to say this is a breaking change, this is a minor change, this is a patch change.
Yeah, the current plan was that basically as an input, it requires AsyncAPI document object from the parser. But long term, if we have this generic API, but now generic API will still be anyway for AsyncAPI. Don't know. We would have to check during development, I think.
Yeah, I'm just thinking which parts of it we could possibly reuse or make generic so people can use it for diffing their Kubernetes YAML files or OpenAPI or whatever.
There's one idea. There's an issue in the diff repo. I don't remember much details, but basically the idea is like for the first version of the diff, to not like reinvent the wheel and come up with the entire solution from scratch, like finding the differences. So I think the idea is that there's first some existing library used that is using some standard. I don't remember which one, but it analyzes a YAML or JSON, and as an output you get an array of changes like that follows some RFC. I don't remember which one. And then using this object, the diff is created. So maybe not parser, it will not be really needed. Yeah, exactly this one. RFC. I mean, at least I proposed this one, but there are many other implementations for different diff tools. And this one from Chris Brown, I think it has some performance issues. Yeah, exactly. That's the issue. Thank you, Fran. So yeah, does it answer your question?
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely.
Any other questions? So I wish you all Monday ends, as it obviously did not yet.
Yes,
And
please.
and see you in 2 weeks, or actually no. Remember, like for potential contributors, if you want, on Wednesday, we're hosting our first like contributor first meeting. So it's purely only for people that want to like contribute or contribute already, but have some questions to some library or just need guidance. We don't have any good contribution guide yet that explains everything, but we're gonna build it basing on this experience of these meetings. So feel invited. If you're watching the recording, it's uno momento. So it's Wednesday. And I'm based in UTC +2, and it's 3 p.m. UTC +2, which means it's 1 p.m. UTC. If I'm good at calculations, but I think 5 minus 2 is, no, 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay. I'm probably not that good in calculations. But anyway, feel invited. It's this Wednesday. And then another public meeting we have in afternoon in 2 weeks.
Lucas, about the contributors first meeting, do you mind? It's not that I don't want to participate, but I got a lot to do. So do you mind pinging me or any other if we are needed in any way?
You mean that? I mean, so the contributor first meeting does not mean we all have to be there. Like at least one person should be there. And anyway, because contributor guide, it's on my agenda, then I always be there to help contributors. But if it's gonna be like, if there will be some question that I cannot answer, I'll ping you during the meeting. But if not, we can just do a follow-up. It's not a problem. So no stress.
Okay.
Yeah. And anyway, the questions that are for the first meeting are regarding generator, so I can handle them. If we go to Modelina, then I will just like shout, like, "Oh, Jonas, Hilfe!" Okay, so thanks for joining. Enjoy your holidays.
You too.
Arrivederci.